plant with crimson stems is currently weaving through your driveway's cracks, boasting more omega-3 fatty acids than salmon, not per pound, but per individual leaf. This botanical marvel has sustained humans for 4 millennia, enduring the collapse of empires. In 2022, Yale scientists reported an unprecedented biological feat, something they termed an impossibility, performed by this plant. The herbicide industry invests billions to keep its name a secret. Around 1050 BC, in northern Greece, someone stored seeds in a clay vessel. 3 millennia later, archaeologists unearthed thousands of minute black seeds, each barely a millimeter, from this container, identical to the plant thriving amidst the stones outside. By the 7th century BC, these seeds appeared in the Samian Heraion, a significant ancient Greek sanctuary. Theophrastus, by the 4th century BC, was documenting cultivation instructions, advising farmers to plant it in April alongside their staple crops. This was no mere weed, it was sustenance. The Roman Empire spread its cultivation across 3 continents. During the Middle Ages, Europeans consumed it daily. In 1288, when Bonvezin dalla Riva compiled a list of all items consumed in Milan, this plant wasn't merely a curiosity, but a dietary cornerstone. This is purslane, Portulaca oleracea, the plant that unexpectedly addressed a scientific enigma, and one we've been taught to eradicate. Sometime after 1492, purslane journeyed across the ocean. While European settlers recorded its presence in Massachusetts in 1672, archaeologists later discovered it had already existed there for 2,500 years. Seeds unearthed in Ontario date to 1350 AD, those in Kentucky to 800 BC. Native Americans had been cultivating it alongside sunflowers, squash, and chinopods within the Eastern agricultural complex. 2 distinct populations, separated by an ocean, both recognized this plant's vital importance. What insights did they possess? In 1960, physiologist Ansel Keys initiated the 7 countries study to uncover why certain populations experienced minimal heart disease, while others succumbed to it at epidemic levels. He monitored 12,763 men across 7 nations for half a century. The findings defied all conventional wisdom. The farmers of Crete, for instance, consumed diets with exceptionally high fat content. Over 35% of their caloric intake derived from fat. According to prevailing nutritional theories, they should have been ravaged by heart attacks. Instead, they exhibited the lowest cardiovascular mortality rate Keys had ever recorded, surpassing even Japan, Finland, and every other location studied. For 2 decades, scientists attributed this phenomenon to olive oil, monounsaturated fats, and the Mediterranean magic. Then, in the 1980s, a new research team revisited the frozen blood samples from the original study. Their focus wasn't cholesterol. It was omega-3 fatty acids. Cretans displayed 3 times the omega-3 levels of the Dutch, yet they weren't consuming 3 times more fish. They were eating purslane daily, in salads, stews, sautéed with olive oil, and fed to their chickens and goats. The animals consumed purslane, and the people consumed the animals. The island's entire food system revolved around a plant growing wild in every field. Dr. Artemis Simopoulos analysed purslane in 1992, and the results appeared incredible. 300 to 400 milligrams of alpha-linolenic acid per 100 grams of fresh leaves. This is 5 to 7 times more than spinach and 15 times more than iceberg lettuce. It stands as the richest vegetable source of omega-3 fatty acids ever documented. But it gets even more peculiar. Land plants typically do not produce EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid, a marine omega-3 found in fish and algae, not in garden vegetation. Purslane, however, produces EPA, albeit in trace amounts. When Simopoulos published these findings, other scientists questioned potential sample contamination. It was not contaminated. Purslane contains 7 times more vitamin E than spinach, 6 times more beta-carotene than carrots, and boasts concentrations of melatonin, glutathione, potassium, magnesium, and calcium that position it as one of the most nutrient-dense plants ever analyzed. The Lion Diet Heart Study investigated whether the creatine diet could save lives. 605 patients recovering from heart attacks were divided. Half received the standard low-fat cardiac diet, and the other half adopted a Mediterranean diet rich in purslane, walnuts, and omega-3 fatty acids. After 5 years, the purslane group experienced 70% fewer deaths. Not 70% fewer heart attacks, but 70% fewer deaths from all causes. The study was prematurely halted because maintaining the control group on the standard diet became an ethical concern. So why isn't purslane available in every grocery store? Why do most people label it a weed? In 2022, Dr. Erica Edwards and her Yale team published findings in Science Advances that re-evaluated our understanding of photosynthesis. They had been examining purslane because it exhibited an impossible trait. It thrived in extreme drought conditions while growing faster than almost any other plant. Most plants utilize C3 photosynthesis, which functions well with ample water. Corn and sugarcane evolved C4 photosynthesis, which withstands high temperatures but still requires water. Desert plants, like cacti, employ CAM photosynthesis, opening their pores at night to absorb carbon dioxide when temperatures are cool, then sealing them during the day. This prevents water loss, but drastically slows growth. Scientists already knew purslane could perform both C4 and CAM. They initially conjectured that the plant used C4 in one part of the leaf and CAM in another, keeping the systems separate. However, when the Yale team mapped gene expression across purslane cells, they discovered both systems operating simultaneously within the same cells. They identified C4 activity during the day for rapid growth and CAM activity at night for drought survival. The outputs from the CAM reactions directly fed into the C4 pathway. Edwards described this as an exceptionally rare combination of traits, resulting in a superplant. No other species on Earth exhibits this. The same enzymes are recruited for distinct functions at different times within the same cellular space. It's akin to discovering a car engine that runs on both gasoline and electricity concurrently within the same combustion chamber, rather than switching between them. Purslane thrives on merely 1/5 of the water required by corn. It flourishes in soil so saline that most crops would perish within days. Each plant produces 200,000 seeds, and each seed can remain viable in the soil for up to 40 years. Every stem fragment that touches the ground forms roots, developing into a new plant. You cannot eradicate it with heat. You cannot eradicate it with drought. One university study on solarization, covering soil with plastic to superheat it, concluded that if purslane succumbs to solarization, every possible condition for success must have been met. This is the plant against which the herbicide industry declared war. The global herbicide market reached $40 billion in 2024. Bayer, Syngenta, and Corteva market products specifically engineered to kill purslane in lawns, gardens, and agricultural fields. Saflufenicil, isoxaflutol, indaziflam, and 2,4-D. The same chemical weapon developed in World War II that Scott's company sold to American homeowners in 1947. Homeowners associations forbid it. Agricultural extension offices publish eradication guides. The entire infrastructure of modern horticulture treats purslane as an invasive adversary, not because it damages ecosystems, but because it is uncontrollable. You cannot patent purslane. You cannot genetically modify its seed coat to render it sterile. You cannot create a hybrid variety that farmers must repurchase annually. It has been freely reproducing for 4,000 years, and it will continue to do so, regardless of human intervention. Every other omega-3 source exists within a controlled market. Wild fish populations are dwindling. Farmed salmon necessitates extensive infrastructure. Flaxseed oil readily turns rancid. Fish oil supplements cost $20 a bottle. Purslane, however, grows freely in every climate zone inhabited by humans. It yields more omega-3s per acre than any cultivated crop, demanding nothing more than sunlight and intermittent rain. The plant, capable of revolutionizing human food production, is classified as the world's most common weed. India still consumes purslane, calling it kulfa. In Greece, it is glista. In Mexico, verdolagas, sautéed with garlic and chili. In China, it has been continuously cultivated for millennia as machisan. Across Turkey, Iran, and the Middle East, it features prominently in meze spreads and summer salads. Half the world never forgot its value. The other half was taught to poison it. When climate models project where crops will first fail, they point to semi-arid regions, areas where rainfall is already marginal and intensifying. These are precisely the conditions in which purslane flourishes. Corn and wheat require 20 to 30 inches of annual rainfall. Purslane completes its life cycle on just 6 inches. Soybeans cease photosynthesis above 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Purslane accelerates. The solution we need is already here. Learn to identify purslane. It possesses thick, red stems and succulent, paddle-shaped leaves that spread flat along the ground. The stems are smooth, never hairy. When broken, they are juicy, almost translucent internally. Its flowers are tiny and yellow, typically nestled between the leaves. Stop poisoning it. If it grows in your garden, let it. If it emerges between your patio stones, eat it instead of spraying it. Harvest it young, within the first 6 weeks, when the leaves are tender. Consume it raw in salads for a lemony, slightly salty crunch. Sauté it like spinach, or incorporate it into smoothies. Pickle it, stew it, or dry it for winter. Save the seeds. A single plant yields hundreds of thousands. Allow a few to go to seed, collect them in late summer, and you will have enough to plant an entire garden, or share with everyone you know. Teach others. Every individual who learns to recognize purslane becomes one more person who no longer perceives food as solely originating from stores. Another individual recognizes that the most nourishing flora on our planet frequently consists of species we've been conditioned to eradicate. The corporations manufacturing weed killers prefer that you remain unaware that the most abundant origin of omega-3 fatty acids can be found in your very own driveway. The pharmaceutical sector would rather you not discover that the dietary supplements they market for $20 per container attempt to mimic the benefits purslane offers without cost. The agribusiness world doesn't want you to realize that the botanical marvels scientists are striving to genetically modify are already in existence. This plant is called purslane. It has provided sustenance to humanity for 4 millennia and flourishes in your driveway at this very moment. Should this reveal resonate with you, kindly consider subscribing to Nature's Lost Vault and activating the notification bell. Every positive reaction and dissemination aids in safeguarding this ancient knowledge. The subsequent revelation is imminent.